You welcome U.S. coins. 1943-1966 United States 1-cent coin is a fascinating piece of American numismatic history, and if you're a coin collector or just someone interested in the value of rare currency, you might want to know why this particular penny is so special. It's not just any ordinary coin, it's one that has caught the attention of collectors around the world. But what makes the 1966 1-cent coin so valuable? And why could it be worth an astonishing amount of money? Stick with me, because this is a story of rarity, history, and how one tiny penny can make a huge impact. The 1966 penny was struck at a time when the United States was in the midst of significant change. The country was still recovering from the aftermath of the 1960s social and political movements, and the nation was beginning to modernize its currency and economy. The coin was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, like many pennies before it, but there's one important detail about the 1966 penny that sets it apart. You see, in 1965, the U.S. Mint made a major decision that would affect future coinage. They began using a new process called silver-clad to produce dimes and quarters, but the 1-cent coin, or penny, continued to be made from the traditional copper alloy. This kept the penny familiar in weight and appearance to those issued in earlier decades. However, as with many coins, mistakes can happen during the minting process, and sometimes, these mistakes lead to valuable errors. Some of the 1966 pennies struck by the U.S. Mint were mistakenly produced with a minor flaw. These coins have been identified with a doubling of the date and other design elements, making them instantly recognizable to experts in the field. This error occurred due to a misalignment of the dies used to strike the coins. When the dies were not perfectly aligned, the result was a coin with a noticeable double appearance in the numbers of the date, creating what is known as a double die error. Such errors are rare, but they happen from time to time in coin production. However, it's the combination of rarity and the historical context of the 1966 penny that makes this coin so valuable. Unlike the vast majority of pennies that were minted and distributed without any noticeable error, the ones with the double die are highly sought after by collectors who specialize in mint errors. In fact, finding a 1966 penny with a noticeable double die error can feel like discovering a treasure hidden in plain sight. But what is the actual worth of this penny? The price of a 1966 penny with a double die error can vary depending on its condition, rarity, and demand. On the open market, this coin could sell for a significant sum, especially if it is in excellent condition with a clear and visible error. Some collectors have paid thousands of dollars for coins like this, but there's one specific 1966 penny that stands out as an exceptional example. If you manage to find a 1966 1-cent coin in excellent condition with the double die error, it could fetch a truly extraordinary price. While the value of most 1966 pennies is relatively low, just a few cents, the rare error coins can be worth much more. In fact, there have been instances where these error pennies have been sold for as much as $27,000, so, the next time you find a 1966 penny in your pocket change or rummage through your collection of old coins, take a closer look. If you spot the double die error, you could be holding onto a rare piece of history worth a small fortune. Whether you're an experienced collector or just starting out, the 1966 penny is one coin that proves how something as simple as a 1-cent piece can have a value that's far greater than its face value. Top 2 1982 1-cent coin. While most people associate pennies with minimal worth, this particular coin has earned quite a reputation for its rarity and value. In this video, we're going to dive deep into what makes the 1982 1-cent coin so special and why some of these pennies are worth thousands of dollars today. Before we talk about the rarity and value, let's first understand the context. The 1982 1-cent coin was part of the last batch of pennies struck with the traditional copper composition. Prior to 1982, pennies were made from 95% copper, which gave them a solid, hefty feel in your hand. However, in 1982, due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint decided to change the penny's composition. After 1982, pennies were made primarily of zinc, with only a thin copper coating on the surface. Now, you might wonder, what does this have to do with a penny being worth so much? The story begins with a small number of 1982 pennies that were actually struck using the older copper composition before the change was fully implemented. These pennies, which were mistakenly produced with the original copper alloy, are incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. What makes these coins so valuable is that they are a rare mistake, a piece of history that most people wouldn't even recognize if they held one in their hand. Because of the limited number of copper pennies produced in 1982, these particular coins have become a symbol of rarity in the world of numismatics. So, how do you identify these rare 1982 copper pennies? The first step is to understand the difference in the composition. The 1982 copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while the newer zinc pennies weigh 2.5 grams. If you have a 1982 penny and you want to know if it's the copper variety, you can simply weigh it. If it's heavier, then you've got yourself a coin that could be worth something special. Another key factor that determines the value of these coins is their condition. Like any collectible, the better the condition of the coin, the more it's worth. If you have a 1982 copper penny that's in excellent condition, you could be looking at a coin that's worth a significant amount more than its face value. But wait, there's more. Not all 1982 pennies are made equal. The value of these coins can also vary depending on the mint mark. Pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint do not have a mint mark, while those struck at the Denver Mint are marked with a D. There's even a rare variety known as the 1982 D copper penny, which is highly prized by collectors due to its scarcity. It's important to note that not all 1982 pennies are worth a fortune. Most of the pennies from that year were made from the new zinc composition, and these are still worth just 1 cent. However, if you happen to stumble upon one of the rare copper versions, you could have something worth a lot more than just face value. Over the years, the value of these rare 1982 copper pennies has increased significantly. In fact, some of these pennies have been sold at auction for incredible prices, with certain specimens fetching as much as $24,000. The 1982 1-cent coin may look like an ordinary penny, but for those who understand the history behind it and the rarity of the copper version, it's much more than that. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone who happens to have a few pennies lying around, it's worth checking your collection to see if you've got a hidden treasure. If you do, you could be sitting on a coin worth $24,000. Top 3 2001 1-cent coin. While you might not realize it at first, this particular penny is a hidden gem in the world of coin collecting, and it's worth more than you could imagine. The 2001 1-cent coin is a part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which has been in circulation since 1959. However, unlike many other common pennies, the 2001 penny holds a special place in the world of numismatics due to a rare production error that makes it incredibly valuable. So, what's the story behind this coin, and why is it worth so much? Let's take a closer look. The first thing to know is that not all 2001 pennies are valuable. Most of the 2001 1-cent coins were produced with no significant issues, and they hold no more value than their face value of 1 cent. However, like many rare and valuable coins, it's the ones with a mistake or an anomaly that are truly sought after by collectors. The 2001 penny that's caught the attention of collectors and experts is the one that was struck with a double die obverse, meaning the coin was stamped twice in the minting process, leading to a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering and other features of the coin. This double die error occurred when the dies used to strike the coin were misaligned during the minting process. As a result, the image of President Abraham Lincoln, as well as the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," appeared doubled, giving the coin a unique and very noticeable appearance. At first glance, it might just look like a worn-out penny, but if you look closely, you'll notice the telltale signs of doubling, especially on the word "Liberty" and the date 2001. This error was relatively rare, and only a small number of 2001 pennies were affected by it. So, how do you identify a 2001 penny with the double die error? The easiest way is to carefully inspect the coin under good lighting. The doubling is usually most noticeable in the inscriptions, and if you spot a clear shift in the letters or numbers, you might be holding one of these rare coins. Of course, condition is also a big factor in determining the value of the coin. A 2001 penny with the double die error that is in pristine condition is worth far more than one that has seen a lot of wear and tear over the years. Now, here's the exciting part. While most 2001 pennies are worth only 1 cent, the rare double die version can be worth a small fortune. Some of these coins, particularly those in excellent condition, have sold for thousands of dollars at auctions and among collectors. But that's not the end of the story. A well-preserved 2001 double-die penny could fetch prices as high as $20,000. Imagine going through a jar of pennies, not thinking much of them, only to discover that one of them is worth $20,000. It's an incredible thought, isn't it? But that's the reality for those who have found these rare coins. The demand for error coins, especially those with a clear and noticeable doubling, has surged over the years, and this has driven the value of the 2001 double-die penny to staggering heights. Of course, not every 2001 penny with the double-die error will be worth $20,000. The coin's condition, the extent of the error, and the current market demand all play significant roles in determining the price. But even so, it's a great reminder that even the most ordinary-seeming coins can hold extraordinary value if they have a rare and unique characteristic. So, next time you find yourself with a handful of pennies, don't just toss them aside. Take a moment to check each one, especially the 2001 pennies, for any signs of the double die error. It might just be the discovery of a lifetime, and who knows? You could be holding a coin worth $20,000. Top 4 1978 United States 1-cent coin, a penny that, at first glance, might look like just another ordinary piece of currency, but in reality, it has a tale to tell that could make you a fortune. The 1978 penny was minted during a period when the U.S. Mint had already started to adjust the composition of coins. Most of the coins minted during the 1970s were still made from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but as the 1980s approached, changes were looming on the horizon. It was a time of transition in the world of coinage, yet most 1978 pennies were struck without any notable issues, making them seem unremarkable to the average person. But in the world of rare coins, nothing is ever quite as simple as it seems. What sets the 1978 penny apart from other coins of its era is the rare and intriguing error that has captured the attention of collectors and investors alike. Some 1978 pennies were struck with a rare and unusual die error. This error, which can happen during the minting process, involves a misalignment of the dies used to stamp the coin. The result is that the features of the coin, such as the date, lettering, or even the image of Abraham Lincoln, can appear distorted, doubled, or misprinted. It's this error, which is most commonly referred to as a die crack or doubled die, that has made the 1978 1-cent coin a valuable collectible. The die crack occurs when the die used to strike the coin begins to wear down or develop cracks, causing part of the coin's design to be misprinted or blurry. In the case of the 1978 penny, the most notable example of this error involves the doubling effect seen in the word liberty and even the date 1978 itself. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare coins in your collection, it could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. How can you spot a valuable 1978 penny? The first step is to carefully examine the coin for signs of the error. If you look closely at the coin and notice any doubling in the letters or numbers, especially around the word liberty or the date 1978, then you may have just discovered one of these rare misprints. Sometimes, this error is subtle, but in other cases, it's clearly visible with the naked eye. The more obvious and pronounced the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. Another important factor to consider when evaluating the worth of your 1978 penny is the coin's condition. Like any collectible, the condition of the coin plays a crucial role in determining its market value. Pennies that are in excellent condition, those with little wear, sharp details, and minimal discoloration, are significantly more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated and worn down over time. A well-preserved 1978 penny with the double die error could fetch a much higher price than a coin in poor condition. For most of us, finding a penny worth more than its face value might seem like an impossible dream. But in the case of the 1978 penny with the error, that dream can become a reality. Depending on the rarity, condition, and the degree of the error, these pennies can be worth thousands of dollars. Collectors around the world eagerly hunt for these elusive coins, and when one comes up for sale, the bidding can become intense. So, what's the actual worth of a 1978 penny with a significant error? While most 1978 pennies are worth only 1 cent, a coin with a pronounced die error could be worth as much as $23,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A simple penny, once tossed aside as just loose change, could potentially be worth an incredible $23,000. If you've ever wondered about the value of those old pennies lying around in your drawers, now is the perfect time to take a second look. You never know, you could be holding a rare 1978 penny with a valuable error that could make you a significant amount of money. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about coin values, it's always worth checking your pocket change for those hidden treasures. Top 5 today, we're going to dive into why the 1983 penny is so special, and how it could be worth far more than the 1 cent it was originally minted for. Let's begin by understanding the backdrop. The 1983 1-cent coin was a part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which was in circulation from 1959 until 2008. It was a time when pennies were still made predominantly from copper, although, by 1982, the U.S. Mint had already begun to experiment with a change in the composition of pennies due to the rising cost of copper. By 1983, most pennies were made from a core of zinc, with a thin copper coating. This shift in materials led to one of the most interesting and rare coin collecting opportunities to come out of the 1983 series, a minting error that occurred when the U.S. Mint accidentally produced a small number of pennies that were still made with the old copper composition. These pennies, which were supposed to be struck from the new copper-plated zinc alloy, are incredibly rare. They are the real treasure in the world of coin collecting. The main reason these 1983 copper pennies are so valuable is that they were produced with a different metal composition compared to the rest of the 1983 coins. Most of the pennies minted that year were made from the new zinc-based alloy, but a small batch was accidentally struck with the old copper alloy, making them much rarer and more sought after. This discrepancy in composition is what sets them apart from the rest of the 1983 pennies. So, how do you spot one of these rare copper 1983 pennies? The easiest way is by checking the weight of the coin. The copper-based pennies weigh around 3.11 grams, whereas the zinc-based pennies weigh only 2.5 grams. If you happen to come across a 1983 penny and want to determine whether it's made of copper, a simple weighing method can tell you right away. If your penny weighs more than the standard zinc penny, it could be a copper 1983 penny, and that's where the real value lies. In addition to the composition, the condition of the coin also plays a significant role in determining its value. Like most collectible items, coins that are in excellent condition are far more valuable than those that have been worn down from years of circulation. The better the condition of the 1983 copper penny, the more it will be worth. A coin that's been well preserved, with sharp details and minimal wear, will fetch a much higher price at auction than one that is heavily worn. It's also worth mentioning that these 1983 copper pennies are incredibly rare, and their discovery can be a thrilling moment for coin collectors. While it's estimated that only a few of these rare copper pennies were minted, their exact number remains unknown. Because of this rarity, they have become highly prized among collectors, and the demand for these pennies continues to grow. And now, let's talk about how much a 1983 copper penny is actually worth. A standard 1983 penny made from zinc is worth, of course, just 1 cent. However, the 1983 copper penny can be worth significantly more. Because of its rarity and unique composition, a well-preserved 1983 copper penny can sell for as much as $22,000. Yes, that's right, $22,000 for a penny. It's a jaw-dropping amount, especially when you think of how many people simply toss their pennies aside without realizing the potential value they may hold. In fact, there have been instances where these rare 1983 copper pennies have sold for even higher amounts in specialized coin auctions. It's no surprise, given the increasing demand for these unique error coins. The idea that a penny, which is often discarded or overlooked, could be worth so much money is a thrilling prospect for any coin enthusiast. Finding one of these rare pennies might seem like a long shot, but it's not entirely impossible. Many people have discovered valuable coins by simply going through old jars of change or checking their pocket change more carefully. Coin collecting is a hobby that requires patience, knowledge, and sometimes a bit of luck. In the end, the 1983 1-cent coin stands as a testament to the unexpected treasures that can hide in plain sight. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone who enjoys the idea of finding hidden gems, it's always worth checking your pennies. After all, one of those seemingly insignificant coins could end up being worth $22,000.